You're listening to the Blacktop Banter podcast, the premier podcast in the asphalt industry, made for contractors with contractors.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Blacktop Banter. My guest today is Matt LaMarsh. He's a realtor in Atlanta and a real estate advisor. And most importantly, been a long, good friend of mine for quite a while. And luckily, we get to share him here with you a little bit today. So Matt is a leader and recognizes the opportunities for business growth and the true consultative selling expert that he is. He develops, to improve, to develop professionally, to educate people. He has 14 plus years, I would say, of this point of extensive experience in sales, business development, account management. He's a great communicator, has a great sales reputation, very effective at building rapport, and has a proven record. So today I'm going to dive into a conversation, and it'll be a little different. It'll have a different background story, which is fun. Definitely a different trajectory than I think either of us seen, and that gives them a very unique perspective. So let's jump into this one with my friend Matt here on Blacktop Banter. Matt, how you doing?
I'm doing really well, man. Marvin, I just can't thank you enough for the opportunity, number one, to come and see you again face to face is a real pleasure. Obviously, it's been some years,
yeah,
we'll say, but like you, just following along on your journey. I love social media for that. I know a lot of people give social media a lot of flack.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But for staying in touch with people on the other side of the country, on the other side of our worlds is amazing. So I just really appreciate it, man.
No, I appreciate it, man. It's nice to have you here and have you back because, it's fun because we get to kind of see and cheer each other on in the comments sections. We kind of get to see what they're doing, and we have a connection with a group of people at a certain point in time of all of our lives that gave us a unique jumpstart and unique skill set and challenges to improve ourselves, which I would say helped to kind of kickstart our ambition and motivation to really make our lives what we want them to be. Mm-hmm. And we've had multiple guests. I think people kind of know that we're not supposed to talk about Fight Club, but we do now because everybody feels safe and disbanded so much. But I had John Pajak on lately, and he is doing his thing. Naylor's doing great things. Caleb and Brittany. I had Triplet on not too long ago. And it's really cool to see us all kind of do our thing. Like there were moments where it was like we realized, okay, we have all these skill sets that we've learned. We have all this knowledge that we've learned. We can see the trajectory of marketing and business and learn some basic fundamentals of it. And let's go to it. And that's what we did. So when you and I first met and interacted, you had Atlanta Aeration, I remember, and LaMarsh Landscaping, correct?
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So tell us about that little foray, and then what it was like, you can, and then why all of a sudden Matt's like, yeah, I'm going into real estate CEO.
Yeah, man. Well, and I love what you mentioned about that group because, I think while we all would have loved for that group to go on forever and ever and ever, some things and some seasons in our lives, just like you said, there's people, there's times, there's conversations and topics and growth that happens. And, regardless of what our futures individually look like, I think we'll always have that, which is really cool. And like you said, so many different backgrounds, so many different industries. It was just really cool to see that group of people get around each other, which is a really important lesson, actually, no matter what business you're in, right? The people that you surround yourself with. And for us, it was daily, sometimes hourly. It was really, really important. And we were all in different parts of our business with different sizes of business. I mean, it was a very unique group. But having said all of that, I was in the lawn care and landscaping, the green industry, for about 5 years. And I started that business out of desperation to just stop working for other people. I was so sick and tired of being, an employee. I really hated it. And if I hadn't had massive failure as an entrepreneur in the past, I don't think I would have been able to be successful in any entrepreneurial journey. But, you know, for me, where I live is very, I would call it uppity, and not a lot of people cut their own grass. Not a lot of people do their own landscaping. So there was a prime market here. And I knew a lot about the industry. I knew a lot about how to care for this stuff. From my grandfather, he kind of had a business doing it more or less when he was retired, but started that business out of desperation. I hated going to work. I hated working for other people. And I figured if I can make a lawn care and landscaping business successful, I can probably be successful doing anything, especially starting in like September in Atlanta, which is the beginning of the dead season. So started it in September of, I think it was 2012 there. And I mean, gosh, it just felt so good to go and do this work, and not just to have the instant satisfaction and you know, what comes along with our work, right, is instant impact. And for me, that was something that fed my soul. I could care less what other people thought about it. It just felt really, really good. But then to be able to build a business off of word of mouth, you know, literally grassroots marketing, you know, in the 5 years that we were in existence, we did $500 in marketing, which is nothing.
Which is crazy, right?
It was all word of mouth. It was the fact that you could set your watch to the time that our trucks would pull up to a property every single week. And that consistency and our reputation really is what set us apart in this area. And there were businesses that were 20, 30, 40 years in that we as a 2-year-old business were just trouncing. And a lot of it was because of the service. We provided unbelievable service. We also communicated, which is a huge problem for most lawn care landscape service-oriented contractors.
Yeah, for sure.
And I recognized that early, and we fixed that problem. We would communicate once a month, and obviously we had emails and text messages and everything else coming in, not just in reaction, but certainly in proaction to get things done on our next visit or in the next month, or, you know, as our schedule would go. But we built that business from zero in September of 2012 there to, by the time I sold it, it was doing about $400,000 in revenue. And that was just one truck, one trailer, one set of mowers. I mean, it was very, very small, very lean. My objective was as few people as possible making as much money as possible.
Which I like that. I actually like that idea and thought process.
It's strange, I know. But anyway, we ran a great business. The first year we were really heavy on installs. I mean, you know, your first year in business, you're just trying to get anything and everything in the door you can, and cash is oxygen. And so we were just trying to prove that this was going to work and that we could do everything. Year 2 looked like we know what we like to do, and we know where we're really profitable, and we're going to adjust and pivot everything that way. And so we became a maintenance company. And we had about 250 clients that we were doing regular maintenance visits for. You know, averaging $15,000 to $20,000 a month in our second year, which was, in my mind, unbelievable. I had no idea you could do it. I know, it's nuts, right? And I'm always like, you know what? If nothing else works, at least I know how to cut grass. I can always go back. I can always go back to it.
Yeah, you built your safety net. I like it.
That's right.
I like it.
That's right. But we built a phenomenal business with unbelievable clients and customers that really trusted us to do our job and do it at the highest level possible. And that's how we grew too. They told other people, they told their neighbors, you know, if you can't pull up in a lawn care and landscape truck and get 2 or 3 jobs out of just pulling up, then you're probably doing something very wrong. But yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. The last year, my primary care physician, my physical therapist, massage therapists were all like, look, you're only like 35 and you should probably find something else to do. So it's like, all right. So we pivoted. I went and got my real estate license in the fall of, 2018. Officially got licensed in 2019 and just closed year number 5 here as a real estate advisor.
Wow. Yeah, man. I think that resonates with me because I had high blood pressure like a year ago. 2 years ago. So I lost all kinds of weight, right? And I'm going to be honest with you, I still have high blood pressure. Like it's literally, okay, what do we do here, right? Because I'm not, maybe my heart isn't built for all this anxiety and stress I'm putting on. But trust me, I want to Goggins it. I want to do all the shit that I don't really want to do. regularly so that I grow, but maybe my heart can't handle it. Maybe my brain can't handle the anxiety of it. So a lot of that release is why Blacktop Banter started. It helps me communicate, helps me kind of get thoughts out of my brain, and then I resonate with people when they speak, and like what you just said here, how I'm able to resonate with that. And all of a sudden I realized, okay, there's part of the community and whatnot here, and still working on the blood pressure thing. A little bit less salt, a little more exercise probably will help me out, but it's something to see you transition, because yes, I don't see as much LaMarsh landscaping. There's not as much green in your videos, but I know from you being my friend and me watching your content throughout the years, what you're creating in the real estate world when it comes to content isn't a whole lot different than what you did to attract customers or fans or whatever we want in the landscaping world. So tell us a little bit about some of the similarities between the small business you owned and the real estate world that you're in now.
Yeah, I mean, they're both small businesses, right? They both require your marketing, your sales, your you wear so many hats as an entrepreneur, especially when it's just you, right? Learning to leverage out some of the things that weren't the highest and best uses of my time, both in my lawn care business and now my real estate business, was like, I wanted to get to that point as quickly as possible, because when I was running a lawn care and landscaping business, I was most valuable mowing lawns and talking to customers, getting more business. And at some point I got really, really good at getting more business, and I didn't have time for doing all the lawns. So that's when our prices went up. Like, we were just adjusting every single time. And so not much is different in real estate. You have to spend your time where your dollar is most productive. And if I'm spending time doing Canva templates for my just listeds and my just solds and my, my coming soon properties, or even if I have buyers that are looking for properties now, my best time is spent networking with other agents, trying to see what they have coming, the product that they're bringing to the market, if it's a fit for my clients to begin with, but also being a master of the market. And what I mean by that is literally diving into the numbers, diving into the market every single day to see what properties are coming on the market, where they're priced, if they're overpriced, if they're underpriced, if it's a good value, if I have someone that can purchase that property. And because it also helps me then become a better salesman. Okay. And it helps me position myself as someone that truly understands, if I got a call tomorrow about listing a property on Sunday, I would know exactly what dollar amount to put on that property, because I know the market, I know the homes around that area, I know what's sold recently, I know what's on the market, I know what my competition looks like. And I also think that I'm a pretty good marketer, that I can probably make that property stand out above and beyond the other properties that are already on the market. So really my job is to focus on producing as much ROI for my clients as possible. So when my buyers buy a property, they typically walk away from the closing table with like $25,000 in equity. So that means they're buying a $500,000 house that's worth $525,000. Yeah. Or $1 million house that's worth real money, real value. Yeah. And for my sellers, that means getting the home sold as quickly as possible for the most amount of money possible. And I'm happy to say that after now 5 years, there's only been 2 instances at which I said it's going to sell for this or more, and it actually sold for less. Okay. And that's out of like 50 homes.
I was going to say, that's pretty good. That's pretty good percentage, man.
That's because I know the market. That's because I've done the homework. And that's what you don't see every day on social. In particular, it's kind of boring for me to shoot a time lapse of scrolling the MLS and looking at property.
You can only make it so sexy.
That's right.
It's not lawn stripes or a crisp before and after of a driveway.
That's right. That's right. But like you said, everything that I learned about lawn care and landscaping and marketing that service, a service business is a service business at the end of the day. It does not matter what your service is. It doesn't matter if it's buying or selling $1 million home, laying down $300,000 in asphalt, or cutting someone's grass for $100 a month. It's all the exact same. It is relationships, and people want to know that they can count on you, but that you are also going to bring and put predictable things in front of them, right? If you asked all of your clients right now, why do we work with Marvin? It's because we know what we're going to get. It's the results. It's the predictability. It's the process. We know how this is going to go. And that really is the most important thing. And there's so many other things that go wrong inside a real estate transaction that my clients never see, but they don't have to. They don't need that visibility to that stuff, So I protect them. I put up boundaries around them so that they don't, make a terrible decision, create an environment where they're making a bad investment. I mean, this stuff can happen, and it can happen quick if you're not careful. So a lot of similarities, though, between the two service businesses. I think the biggest difference is the product. Instead of making someone's lawn and landscaping look beautiful, now we're making their home look amazing online and in front of potential buyers to, again, sell it as quickly as possible for the most amount of money possible.
You're trying to generate the best experience on both ends, right?
Yep.
Like you want to generate the best experience for your service-based business client, and then also on your real estate game. Now that you're here, you've brought that over where, okay, I had happy customers. How do I keep creating happy customers? Is to create the best experience. I'm gonna be honest with you, Matt. If I was buying a place and I had the option of it going from point A to point B and there being 20 things go wrong, but I had the option of either knowing what they were or not knowing what they were, I would rather not know what they were, right? I'd rather be like, oh, I got to the same arrival point and nothing went wrong. It was flawless for me. I don't know if anything happened or not. I would prefer that. It's less stress, right? And we're able to get it done and make it happen. So the thing that I'm curious about, you kind of mentioned, like, no one wants to see a time lapse of somebody scrolling the MLS, right, and seeing if there's a new opportunity or if there's a price drop or whatever happened. But what are some of the things that we don't know that would surprise us about the real estate world? I mean, for me, selfishly, I always think about curb appeal because I see a beautiful home and then I see a driveway that didn't get seal coated or maintained and could use it and create great. Well, we can use filters for whatever now, but we create great backdrops for your Canva templates to be on. But what are some of the things about being a realtor that we as the general public don't know that would surprise us?
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that a lot of television shows have ruined real estate for a lot of people, real estate agents included. You start the show off and you're showing them properties, and at the end of the show, they're seeing a $2 or $3 or $500,000 commission trade hands in California or New York and going, this is a piece of cake. All he did was show them 3 houses and, away they go. Well, the brand building, the content, the marketing, like, again, as an entrepreneur and as an individual agent, I have to work on all of those things simultaneously, right? And whatever I'm working on today, January 5th, as an example, will probably show up in like March, maybe even early April. And so, you can go sell a job today and you could start working on that job tomorrow or next week or a month from now or whatever your time will allow, right? I can go show you houses today, but there's a process and there's a time. You're depending on other people, right? It's not just as simple as me and you running out and looking at a bunch of houses. Right. You're depending on a seller, you're depending on their agent, you're depending on timelines, and they've got their own motivation for selling their house and their own timeline associated with it. Does that line up with ours? And so I think a lot of people just think it's easy. And a lot of people would argue that over the last couple of years, it's probably been easier than ever before to just throw a sign in the yard and call it sold because of the heat of the market, the low interest rates. Those of you that are listening, 2.5%, 3% in real estate, that's free money. Yeah. That's like, go buy a house and just sit on it and don't even move into it. You could probably sell it a year from now and make money because that's free money in real estate. There's very few things that you can get with a mortgage attached to it at 2.5%, 3% that will not return that and then some within a given year. So I think they think it's easy. I think they think that business just shows up, that someone just calls you and says, I want to buy a house or I want to sell a house. And this is the largest single investment they're going to make, most likely, right? Yeah. A lot of your listeners are probably investing in their business. And so that may be their largest investment. But at some point, you hopefully buy a home and that eventually becomes your largest financial investment ever. Yeah. Certainly we can make the argument for sweat equity and everything else in business. But as far as a tangible, real property is about as real as it gets. And that's as big as it gets. So it doesn't just fall into your lap. You do have to go after it. The average person knows 12 real estate agents. Their brother-in-law that got licensed last year, their aunt that's been in the business for 20 years, their grandmother that, used to sell properties when they were $80,000, not $800. I mean, so those are the challenges, I think, that people don't see every single day. It's a very competitive business. But at the end of the day, the numbers basically speak for themselves, and you have 90% of agents that are in the market producing 10% of the results, and then you have 10% of the agents producing the other 90%. So you have 10% of people out there hustling, and
I was just going to say, you got the
busting their
studs.
face.
Yeah, you got the studs. In my opinion, Dynapac CC900G roller is the best roller on the market for driveway and small parking lot paving contractors. The seismic technology in these rollers is unbeatable for the smoothness and compaction they provide. Take my word for it, or visit Dynapac.com to find a dealer near you.
Hey, Blacktop Banter fans, this is Michael with Aquafault. Aquafault is the only permanent repair material for asphalt and concrete that uses water. And installation is simple. Just pour, add water, and tamp. It's that easy. An Aquafault repair can be open to traffic immediately and fully sealed within 24 hours. Visit aquafault.com to learn more.
I work closely with KM International to design what I believe is the best seal coating unit on the market. The Blacktop Banter Edition seal coating unit, available in both 550 and 700 gallon versions. Learn more about the unit by visiting kminternational.com.
Quick startups, fume-free, automatic agitator shutoff, a splash-proof lid, and pumping on demand, these features are essential for any serious asphalt maintenance contractor. Elevate your game with the Crafco SuperShot line of melters by visiting crafco.com today.
Hi contractors, it's Kyla from Wiscoat. We use Stencil Plus for all of our pavement marking stencils. You can save 10% on your stencil order by using code BB10 during checkout at stencilplus.com or by calling 877-372-6055.
In the past year, Jobber has been our CRM of choice at Wiscoat, and it's made our world exponentially better efficiency-wise. For our small seal coating company, it has helped build the solid foundation we can scale from. Jobber is now a sponsor of Blacktop Banter and helps bring this show to you. With this partnership, Jobber is offering an exclusive savings to BB listeners of 20% off for 6 months. To take advantage of this, find the Jobber link in the show description and get to improving your process today. I've bought plenty of properties and moved properties and did different things now. And I love when the agent shows up and like they're ready to kick ass. Like I like that. I don't necessarily care about the rapport. I do want to know their experience, but most importantly, like how passionate are they? Like for me, like that's what I like to see. If I leave and I'm like, dang, like they mean business. Like not, yeah, I've sold 500 properties in my lifetime. We're gonna add this to the stack. I'd rather be the guy that's like, I've sold 5, and my goal is to hit 15, and like, I want to make this thing happen for you the way you want it to be. I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. This is what I like to see, and because I know that in my world, those are the guys that succeed. Those are the guys. I've interviewed enough people, and I have enough friends and different people who own businesses and are their own person, that those guys end up being the ones that succeed and succeed very, very well. And I can feel that in these agents, right, when they show up and start talking. And even if they're not my agent and they're a selling agent, even then I get excited when they're excited about selling the damn thing to me, right? I'm like, dang, all right, cool. So what would be, through your experiences and whatnot, we talked a lot about content creation some. And yes, you mentioned, like, it's a double-edged sword. If I didn't have to, dude, I totally would not be on social. It's not that I don't like it or I believe it's all bad or that it's negatively influencing me. I have strong enough willpower. I don't think that's the case. But, man, it is a job, Matt. Like, it's a job. It's like one of those things, dude. It's like having to maintain your trucks or having to make sure that you update software or meet with your accountants, but worse because I have to do it every day, branding every day to make this thing happen and click. And yes, I think you and I did a great job of jumping in to adapting it way back in the day. While we were still in our group, our mastermind group, I shared with you guys, like, I had like 3X. Like in 1 year when I really adapted and took it on, I was like, oh, this is what it's about. And then Wiscoat does great. I built a whole company, Blacktop Banter, off of the content creation and whatnot. But the thing is, when we talk about creating content, the goals don't necessarily change, right? They do what you want them to do. So I'm going to ask you about that a little bit. Through your experience, what do you think should be the main goal of somebody who is creating content? Is it to generate leads? Is it to create awareness? Like, what are we doing? Why? I'm sure there's people that ask themselves every day, why the F am I doing this? We know that, so it hasn't happened to me because I knew why I was doing it when I started. But it's one of these things where people see it, they know that they need to do it, so they just start doing it without actually thinking about why they're doing it. So what do you think that some of those things are, the goals?
Yeah. I mean, it really depends on, I think, you as a person, because to me, I'm huge on self-awareness. If there is something that is exhausting to you, it doesn't feel good to you, if it doesn't serve you, don't do it. There are so many ways to make money in any business that content creation isn't for everyone, right? And I had to take a big hiatus from social media because it was exhausting. And in 2022, particularly, I was doing 3 to 5 videos a week. Like YouTube, long form, a week, 10, 15, 20, 25 hours a week, just content.
Dang,
right?
dude.
And it served its purpose. It did exactly what I wanted it to and expected it to do, but it didn't do it on the level that I wanted it to. And so at the end of the year, I'm looking back at my time, my calendar, my bank account, and the money that I invested into that proposition, but also the time. The time is so much more important.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not going to tell you about the $22,000 that
we
I
can
spent.
make more money. We can't make more time.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I even share this with other realtors now because my goal there was to get more business, and I achieved that goal. I got more business as a result of the content. But at the end of the year, I was like, that was exhausting.
Yeah.
And it wasn't serving me on the level that I wanted it to. And again, I won't even tell you about the $22,000 that I attached to that time as well, because that's a whole separate thing. And like you said, I can get the 22 like that.
Yeah.
That's no problem at all. I can't get the 10, 20, 30 hours a week back.
Week.
Those are gone. Those are gone. So I think it really depends on you as an individual entrepreneur. Like, you have to find your lane with this stuff, because if you're charismatic, if you love doing video, you should probably be doing some form of social media or some form of video content. Like, there's just no doubt about it. We live in a very loud world. People are being bombarded with video messaging anyway, so they're used to the flow of that stuff in their TikTok and Instagram and Reels and Facebook flow. So when you show up, they're already spending time there. So the way that I think about it is, how do I stay at the top of mind with every single one of my clients and potential clients? Because ultimately that's what I do with social media.
Yeah.
There are not people buying houses every single day.
Yeah.
Just like they're buying a stick of gum at the grocery store or at the gas station, right? The gas stations don't have to stay top of mind because your little light comes on and goes, you need gas. When it comes to buying or selling a house, how do I stay top of mind? And the average here in Atlanta is about 10 years. So if someone buys a house with me 10 years from now, as a result of the content that I put out today, I'm doing my job, right? If they sold a house with me 3 years ago and they come back to me 2 or 3 or 5 or 7 years from now, I'm doing my job, right? That's really the ultimate goal for me with social media, is just to stay top of mind. That's why it's not all real estate content, by the way.
Yeah.
Before people want to work with us, they have to know, like, and trust us.
Bingo. We say it a lot here on BB. Yes, sir.
In order to get them to that point, I have to show them that I'm building a garage. I have to show them that I'm into Porsches. I have to show them me.
Yeah.
And they're going to decide whether or not they want to work with me or not. I'm very big into the attraction business. And so I want to work with people that want to work with me. If you're interviewing me and 2 or 3 or 4 other agents, I'm probably not a good fit, because I like to attract. I don't want to get you in because of an interview. I don't want to get you in because your neighbor down the road's, sold with me and you saw a great result with that. I want you to buy in, and then we're going to work together. So for me, social media content, all of it is really just focused on, I know that there will probably be a lot of real estate agents that get out of the business in the next year, because it's going to get really, really hard. Because interest rates are up, inventory's still down, so there's not as many deals happening. And so I'm trying to get out ahead of their clients as they exit the business. How do I get in front of them, right?
There's a lot of strategy going into it.
Content's a great way to do it.
Yeah, it's an investment. Like, you need to think about it that way, right? Where you're talking about how many years down the line are they going to come back and sell with me? The thing is, the timeline's different, right? For us, when even my timeline was different than you all's and so was our friend Eric Triplett. Sometimes we put a driveway in, you're not come back for 3 years, right? So I had a long timeline there, and even if I seal coat it, I'm not coming back for 3 years if you do come back. But on the lawn care side, like, hey, we'll see you next week, right? It's like, hey, we'll see you in a couple weeks. So the return was there. The thing is now, thinking about you in the real estate game, your client, that was going to be one of my questions, was what happens after? Because now if you sell a lawn care job, I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week. I'll see you next week. And in this one, you sell a real estate job, see you in 10 years, 20 years. See you when your kid needs to buy a home and you had a great experience with us. Okay, like how do I want to put it? Not attrition, I guess, but the proximity of that experience that they had, or that they see, or they stay up to date with you with on social media, can reap the fruit that you don't always see. And I think that's the thing that people don't understand about creating social media content is that, we talked about this a little bit beforehand because I have partners, the ROI, right? They want to know what's the ROI. Like, when? Tell me when you want to see the ROI. Because you could advertise with me for 2 years, us stop, somebody buy 2 years after you stop advertising with Blacktop Banter and say, yeah, I seen you guys on Blacktop Banter. Oh, you guys aren't partnered with Blacktop Banter anymore? Like, they didn't even know it because it lasted that long. So I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one. Like, you really have to assess your goals of what you're doing with. There's one other thing that you kind of touched on and grazed on a little bit, and that's balance. You talked about the time amount that you put in and how you were like, that it doesn't cut it for me. I struggle with it a little bit, but I'm doing better with it here, of making sure when I clock out here at BB, where we've created content all damn day, which is just fantastic, that I'm not tantalized to create content that I don't want to create or that I'm forced to create outside, because I have Eli, right? Eli's 12, 13. Oh, let me tell you, dude, Eli is eating a ton of food, Matt. Like, he took his shirt off the other day, and I was like, I'll take a 12-year-old body. Screw it, dude. He's wrestling, and he's like, we went to the weight room, and he's been eating a ton. I was like, dang. But I have to spend time with him in order to know that and to pay attention to him. And yes, he's a go-getter. Yes, I'm a go-getter. But it's my responsibility to make sure that when we look back on our time together, it's filled, right? And I worry that I'm not always doing that to the best of my ability. So the balance is essential, that you kind of touched on there. But
it's huge. Well, and one other thing that you started down the path here, and I think it's so important people take this away, because whether it's lawn care, landscaping, real estate, it does not matter. You have to look at the numbers, right? Business is just a numbers game. It's how often are they going to do this? Once a week, once every 10 years, or somewhere in between, maybe once in their lifetime.
Yeah,
right.
That could be.
There are some services like that. What is the lifetime value of a client?
Yeah, funeral services. Right. Is what you're talking about. Birth.
What is the lifetime value of a client? And to me, it's 8 transactions. That means that if I work with one client, I can depend on 8, not just their one, but 7 more transactions to occur if I do the right job. So like you said, I may sell my average demographic, because I know everyone's going to be wondering this, 35 to 55 is like my target. Those are people that are like 10 years older than I am and 10 years younger than I am. Some of them are first-time home buyers. Some of them are buying their 5th home or their 20th home. They're somewhere in between, right? But most of my clients are like me, within a 20-year range, up or down. And so a lot of them will buy 2 or 3 or 5 homes in their lifetime. But the bigger piece there is exactly what you said. It's their parents are going to sell their property and move somewhere else and retire, or they've already done it and they've retired. Their kids will come along in the next 10 or 15 years, and they will also buy a house. And then in that meantime, we'll have another 2 or 3 from that original client that I had. In addition, there's another 4 or 5 transactions that I can count on from the people that they tell they had a great experience with Matt when we bought a house and when we sold our house. And so to your point, there are some referral partners, in fact, other agents around the country that I work with. I have like 1,000 agents now in this network There are some agents that will never send me one referral. They'll never send me one deal, but they'll tell another agent in their office, oh, you've got someone moving to Atlanta? Call Matt.
Yeah.
Right? Pebble in the pond. And so those waves go out, those ripples go out, and Matt's name gets brought up, and Matt's name gets brought up, and Matt's name. And so that's really what it's all about. And adding and layering in that that lifetime value of a client and understanding every 3 years, every week, every month, however often you're out there, you can start to extrapolate your business and start to figure out not just what your revenue could be, but what your profitability should look like, right? So, yeah, anyway, I just want to leave that there because I think a lot of people...
You're getting scientific. You're getting really scientific when you talk about that. When you talk about projecting your income based on 7 touches from successful client sales or whatever it would be, yeah, that's getting to be pretty wild. And
you
I'm
also
sure
do business differently when you think about that. You think about the long term. You don't think about, let me get this paycheck, let me get this job done. You think about a year and 5 years from now.
Yeah, it goes from a $200,000 deal to a $1.4 million deal, right? Every single time if you talk about 7 transactions over the lifetime of it, if that's what 100%. It could be on average or whatever. All right, man. Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. Let's reel it back in because we could keep going this route forever. I have a feeling you and I. What overarching piece of advice, life advice, not necessarily real estate, not necessarily service business or whatever. I feel like you've learned quite a bit through your journey through business and life in general. What would one overall piece of advice be? Because you've done very well creating a network of people that you can learn from as well and have learned from as well. What's one thing where you're like, this really, really, really helps?
Man, so my grandfather always had something. We met pretty much from the time that he was like 70 to the time that he passed away. We met monthly for lunch. And my grandfather was a brilliant businessman. And there's 2 things that I think really stick out to me that he shared with me that, and a lot of other people have said this because let's be honest, there's nothing new under the sun, but we really got deep into some conversations about your net worth is your network. The people that you know in your backyard that do business with you every single day, and even the people across the country that know you and know who you are and what you do and how you do it. And again, the consistency and predictability that you are as a person, not your business, not anything else. But that's why we get a lot of business from social media as well, is the consistency, is the predictability. People think, man, if he can do content like this, if he can be this consistent with that, I'm sure when it comes to our real estate transaction or us mowing the lawn, it's going to be consistent. It's going to be predictable. So, but the fact that there's so many people out there that are willing to put my name into conversations about real estate and about podcasts and about content and about marketing and about anything else that I have a very small grouping of knowledge around, I'm really, really blessed in that regard. Very, very blessed. The second is that, and he used to say this to me all the time, and I'm just now in my 40s starting to actually see the results of it. And there were little blips along the radar in my 20s and 30s and stuff, but never more very apparent to me than now as I'm sitting here in front of you as a 41-year-old man. People are watching. People are watching you, and they're watching you work hard, or they're watching you not work hard. They're watching you work with integrity, or they're watching you not work with integrity. And so to me, that really is like probably one of the most important things, because my parents really worked hard on that part of me and the self-awareness piece. I was not the smartest kid. I did not get straight A's. I did not apply myself when it counted the most. But now, and I've had to make up for a lot of lost ground, in my 20s and 30s. But people are watching, and especially through content and social media, they're watching you. And yeah, you can put the highlight reel up, but when you're real and when you're authentic and when you share the stuff that other people aren't sharing, especially in your world, in your industry, in the type of business that you run, that sticks out like a sore thumb in the best way possible.
Where can people follow you, Matt, online?
I think Instagram's probably the best place. I'm most active there, at least. At Matt, M-A-T-T, period, LaMarsh, L-A-M-A-R-S-H, just like it sounds.
Dang, man. More of that stuff. You need to be putting out more of that stuff. Not that I don't like garages, but dang, it's like, well, more of that stuff for me. Which is, because we're friends, I know that that's something we've learned. Those are things that we've learned, right? Like, we're not regurgitating that stuff. I think a lot of people think that that maybe we do that, right? I post a lot of quotes because the quotes are things that I've experienced and learned and I know to ring true. That's why I post quotes. When you hear me say, like, you and I both, right? We buy from people buy from us, they know, like, and trust. You know how I know that? Because I'm a buyer, right? And when I started thinking like a buyer and then started thinking like a contractor and I started thinking about who I would want to buy from, it became somebody who looks like that.
Exactly.
Right? So it's not necessarily that we're regurgitating or doing anything. I don't, and I know Matt doesn't, right? We're friends. We've known each other long enough. We spend a lot of time saying, dude, I have no idea. Like, dude, I have no idea. Are we doing it right? I don't really know.
Sure.
Like, even now, like here at Blacktop Banter, my team's here. They hate to hear me say this, but I don't know that I'm doing it right. I don't even know that I'm the best one to do it. All I know is that I did do it, and when no one else did it, and now we're in front, and now I try to learn the best of my ability to keep us in front if that's where we want to be. To be honest with you, bro, I had somebody ask me the other day, Matt, I was a guest on a podcast, and they're like, are you worried that, somebody's going to come along, do it better? And I was like, please somebody take this from me. Like, I'll hand the belt over. Like, if they're willing to put in the work that I put into doing this daily, or if they're more talented than me, they deserve it, man. And I want that for somebody, because at some point somebody's going to. I hope that it carries on and that our community and our relationships like you and I have developed carry on, because my network, which is my net worth, is very expansive, and it is what makes my life fulfilled, but also it's what brings me any kind of success that I see regularly. And I'm very thankful that you're part of it, my friend. So
I appreciate you, man.
Thank you so much for having us on, or having me on your episode, because I was able to listen and learn, and I'm very excited about that. But I'm sure people also on our end learned quite a bit about Matt and what he has going on. This episode of Blacktop Banter is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and YouTube. As always, you can hop over to blacktopbanter.com and sign up for our newsletter. Our newsletter is written by contractors for contractors, with some insight from our sponsors and our partners as well. You can sign up for that at blacktopbanter.com. While you're there, click the drop-down menu and check out Blacktop Banter Success Group. If you're a contractor or a business owner of any kind, and you would love to have a mastermind group like Matt and I had at one point, which has made us just the shining examples of men that we are, we have that here at Blacktop Banter with the Blacktop Banter Success Group. There are contractors just starting out. There's contractors that are 8-figure paving contractors, and we all collaboratively mastermind ideas, problems, issues, troubleshoot, all this stuff together. Today, for example, there was a conversation about subcontractor contracts. Somebody wanted to see one. Guess who that was? Me. I wanted to see one of my friends' subcontractor contracts so I can compare. We do that type of stuff in there at the Blacktop Banter Success Group. Hop over there and check that out. All right. So for myself here in the Blacktop Banter studio, and for my good friend Matt LaMarsh, we didn't get into it too much. We talked about pavement a little bit. But as always here on Blacktop Banter, we speak asphalt. Peace. Hey everybody, Marvin here from Blacktop Banter, and if you enjoy the podcast and what we've been bringing to the industry, you can support us through a one-time or recurring donation at blacktopbanter.com. There we have a support tab. You click that and choose your path from there. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please do us a favor and leave a review there for us as well. As always, we speak asphalt, and thanks for your support.